90% of blood pressure is called essential hypertension, and they don't even know what causes it after all of this research. Today, I'm going to unravel blood pressure and give you some natural solutions that may have a lot less side effects than medication. Of course, check with your doctor before implementing any of these solutions. So you have about 100,000 miles of blood vessels in your body. Well, that is a lot of blood vessels, and these blood vessels do go to many locations in your body, many organs. In fact, all of your organs receive blood from your vascular system. And so the problems with blood pressure extend way beyond just the vascular system, way beyond just your heart. It can affect the brain, it can affect your eye, it can affect the kidney, increasing your risk of getting heart attacks. And it definitely increases your risk of getting a stroke by a factor of 3x. And blood pressure problems are very common. If you're over 60, you have a 50% chance of getting hypertension. To me, that is just way, way too high. Now, hypertension can also be compensating for various things. For example, if you have hypoxia, let's say in your lungs, you have COPD, you have a lung problem where you don't have enough oxygen, the body is going to automatically sense that and start increasing blood pressure to get more blood in the area, to get more oxygen, low oxygen situation in another place. So when someone then takes medication to lower the blood pressure, what happens to the lungs, right? It already is not getting enough oxygen. Now it's really not going to get enough oxygen. So this is one reason why people don't really feel good many times when they get on blood pressure medication, especially in the brain, because it creates other issues. I mean, I think a really important question would be to understand why you have high blood pressure in the first place. And this is just not emphasized very well. It's more like, well, you have this disease. We don't really know what it is. Take this medication for a while, drink more water, get more exercise, et cetera, et cetera. From my viewpoint, there's several common reasons for blood pressure: low potassium, low magnesium, and low vitamin D levels. So if I had hypertension, those would be three things that I would look at immediately. But instead, in the medical profession, you're told to restrict sodium. That is the primary focus, not to increase potassium, to reduce sodium. And if that doesn't work, then the next thing to do is to give you a water pill, a diuretic. Primarily, they use a common one called hydrochlorothiazide. This is a diuretic. It gets rid of fluid and the sodium in the fluid, but it is also a silent depleter of potassium. So now we end up with lower amounts of potassium. And a potassium deficiency could be the reason why you have high blood pressure in the first place. Now we go from low potassium to extremely low potassium. So therefore, there's going to be more need for medication. And of course, when we talk about potassium, they may recommend potassium, but unfortunately, potassium only comes in 99 milligram pills or less. And the requirement for potassium is quite high. It's like 4,700 milligrams. And you have these pills that are 99 milligrams. Okay. How many times does 99, or let's just round it off to 100, go into 4,700? Okay. You do the math. You'd have to have a lot of pills. But this diuretic also depletes magnesium, the other common reason why people have high blood pressure. Another side effect of this diuretic is the increase of homocysteine. Now, if that doesn't work, there's always the calcium channel blockers, okay? Those are medications for high blood pressure as well, just working from a different angle. The problem is it has some slight minor complications. If you take it chronically over 5 years, it can have a tendency to shrink your brain. It also tends to increase your risk of certain types of cancer. And in one study, as far as the effectiveness goes, they compared it against other medications that lower blood pressure, and it really only brought your blood pressure down by 0.1. That's only like 1/10 of 1 point. Okay. So to me, that's pretty insignificant. And then you have other medications like the ACE inhibitors. The problem is with that one, it does increase the risk of getting allergies or even being allergic to the medication significantly. Also, it can create a chronic cough as a side effect. Now, I'm not sure if you got the recent memo about aspirin. They finally found out that it doesn't really give you many good benefits. The outcomes are not that great. And this was in JAMA, Aspirin Myocardial Infarction Study Research group. They found that an aspirin a day has no benefit. Now, there was another study that rekindled recommending aspirin, taking an aspirin a day, but they didn't even use aspirin. They used bufferin, okay, which is a different type of medication, and that had magnesium oxide, okay? Magnesium actually helps lower blood pressure, and they also had added some beta carotene, so who knows what was causing what. There's something else that you should know about. It's called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide greatly supports the inner layer of the arteries, okay? It helps to lower blood pressure because it's a vasodilator. Some people even try to increase it to handle their erectile dysfunction because that's a vascular problem. You see, we're so focused on the arteries, but it can affect a lot of things. You've probably heard of even vascular dementia because of what it can do to the brain. We have an enzyme that helps make nitric oxide, okay? And that enzyme can be inhibited or turned off to a certain degree by a genetic variation problem. So if you have this problem, you might not have the benefit of that enzyme to make nitric oxide, thereby developing hypertension. And you can get a test to evaluate if you have this problem. There's a couple ways to do it. You can look at a DNA test or even get this other test. It's called ADMA, and that stands for asymmetrical dimethyl arginine. So getting the test will tell you very quickly if you're making enough of this nitric oxide. Now, the solution that I would recommend that has very minimal side effects, if any, is just to go out and buy some L-arginine. L-arginine will help you make more nitric oxide. So you can just include that as your protocol for helping yourself with this high blood pressure situation. Another really good natural remedy for high blood pressure is garlic. Garlic can act as a natural ACE inhibitor, as well as increasing this nitric oxide. Another really good food to take if you have high blood pressure is celery. Celery has a couple powerful phytonutrients that can help lower blood pressure and reduce adrenaline. So it helps you sleep, it helps your blood pressure. You'd want to take like 4 stalks of this celery, maybe with your last meal of the day. And you'll find that you'll actually get some benefit from that. Now, to support the endothelial layer of your arteries, tocotrienols is one of the best remedies for that. That's a type of vitamin E. So when you think about anything damaging the inside of the artery, think tocotrienols. And tocotrienols are really good for angina, heart problems, but especially to help act as a powerful antioxidant for the inside layer of your arteries. Let's summarize everything. So we have potassium, magnesium. Where can you get that? From salads, okay? Larger amounts of salads on a regular basis. You can also get these in electrolyte powder as well. Vitamin D3, you can get that from the sun. It's very hard in the winter, so start taking vitamin D3. That might just handle your blood pressure, but you need to take at least 20,000 IUs every single day. Start including garlic in the diet, celery, and don't forget about the L-arginine, okay? You can get in a powder and maybe take a half a scoop or even a whole scoop each day, okay, to help increase nitric oxide and those tocotrienols that might come in handy to support the inside layer of your arteries. But realize that you also need to handle the foundational problem of your diet. And for information on that, I put that video up right here. Check it out.